Haha! Okay, I'm ready.
Yeah.
You have to put mouth saxophone in all of your songs from now until the end of time, just because of that, right?
Kazoo.
Beautiful,
Oh
please.
my goodness.
Mouth saxophone, mouth kazoo. I don't care as long as it is a wind instrument and you blow it with your face.
Okay. Face blown mouth instruments for 200.
Please tell me you're recording.
I am.
Yes. Cold open is absolutely fantastic.
So does that go before the theme music then? Or after?
Maybe it should go before.
And then theme music, and then you can do an
and
open.
this current conversation after we're done. Do we have an outro music? We have to have an outro music.
It's just the rest of Good Evening.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
That's what it is. At least it was on the other three.
Cool. We've only done 3 podcasts, and we've been trying to run this podcast for
Years.
what, 1 year?
Well, this one, but we've also been talking about something very similar to this for years. So,
Yep.
yeah.
We made our dreams a reality.
Don't let your dreams be dreams.
And I'll make your dreams reality too.
Oh my.
And with that, welcome to the first Best of Both Worlds podcast that we've done in literally 500,000 years.
It's been a short hiatus.
Short hiatus, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Shorter than Fireflies.
Shorter than Half-Life 3's.
Oh, Half-Life 3 confirmed, obviously, because we totally are in the know with Valve, seeing as
We got a sponsor!
as we're so adequate at all of their games. I would really be okay if Valve sponsored us. Valve, if you're listening to this, probably not, because I think only Healbot listens to this. Please sponsor us, mostly just so that we can get all of your Steam games for free.
I'd be down. Like, I don't spend that much money on Steam, but I've spent enough that, yeah.
Yeah. So, today, it's currently like mid-August as we're recording this. So that means Suicide Squad released somewhat near to now. And in honor of that magnificent new addition to the DC movie franchise, we're talking about Civil War.
To be precise, it released on August 5th.
Yeah.
Yes. I have the Google. When did Civil War release? It was like March?
May 5th.
Civil War released 1861. Oh wait, wrong Civil War. Not that Civil War. We're talking about the May 6th Civil War.
Oh, it's May 6th. I was 1 day off.
Yeah, but we'll call it good enough.
Yeah, it was good enough. The midnight showing, I showed up to the midnight showing on May 5th, so.
I was going to. There was some family stuff
same
going
thing.
on. There was some illness in my family, and I couldn't go because I was caring for the ill. But I saw it later, and it was still enjoyable. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. This movie we're dedicating an entire podcast to was a little bit enjoyable.
Spoiler alert. Now that we're at the end of summer and wrapping up the summer's highest grossing blockbuster and one that was very highly rated on Rotten Tomatoes. Can't touch that, DC. Yeah, was actually somewhat enjoyable.
Is it in fact still the top one?
I think it is. I don't know what would have beat it. Well,
Finding Dory beat it.
Oh God, I hate you. Well,
$70 million more. That Finding Dory reached 477 million. Captain America: Civil War got 407 million. After that, The Secret Life of Pets, which got $5, and that was pretty impressive, and still came in ahead of Suicide Squad. So,
Oh, sick burn!
and Star Trek Beyond also got buried because screw Star Trek Beyond. That will be another topic for another day.
Yeah, it will, but it won't be the topic this day because neither of us have seen it.
Yeah, I'm saying screw it, sight unseen.
Yeah. At the same time, though, okay, that has been my stance for a very, very long time. And then my father, who is probably the biggest Trekkie I know, even more than you, Bob, uh, he said it was enjoyable and that I should see it and that I shouldn't write it off. This is a man who could sit with you and quote entire original series episodes back and forth
Okay, I have one
verbatim.
thing that I would say that is a slight spoiler but doesn't give away the plot, and that's that it validates some elements of Star Trek Enterprise as canon. And by that alone, it makes me want to hate it.
Really? Which ones?
That references some of the NX ships.
Oh. See, I'm in a very good position wherein I did watch all of Enterprise, but it was a very long ago, and I have successfully come to a position where I've been able to block all of it out of my memory.
Well, if you could mind meld with me and take care of that for me, I'd appreciate it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can do that for you. Except the Suluban. I remember that the Suluban are like really weird looking and really scary, and that's all. And, oh, and Endorians. Endorians are weird.
Also, that weird ass epilogue with the Next Generation. Weird, weird,
I
weird.
don't remember that either.
The last episode, it turns out this is a spoiler for the last episode. So if you care at all about Star Trek Enterprise, you should not listen for the next 10 seconds.
If you cared all that Star Trek Enterprise, you should be burned at the stake for a heretic.
Well, you should not be burned at the stake until we convince you it's terrible, which we'll do another time.
And then we'll burn you at the stake.
Exactly. Put the box in a box, mail it to myself, and I'll smash it with a hammer. It's brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Wow, we're way off topic. For the reason, on the last episode of Star Trek Enterprise, it turns out that that episode at least is set in the holodeck on the Enterprise D, and it's Will Riker using that scenario to gain advice about a situation. And it's really dumb because it's
I
like
don't think I saw
the
this.
only characters who show up in it are Troy and Riker. I want to say Guinan. No, Guinan doesn't show up in it. But
They can't pay for Whoopi Goldberg.
uh,
Have that much money.
but like you hear everybody talking about Captain Picard, but of course they're not going to get Patrick Stewart back or Brent Spiner or Michael Dorn or anybody who's cooler. But I mean, Riker and Troy are cool in their own sense, but they're a small facet of the excellence of the Next Generation. And I mean, I'm an original series guy, so it's already a stretch by my book to say that it's my favorite because it's not. I enjoy it. I think it's a good show, but it's very weird how they use that to end Enterprise, and people were just like, "What?" Yeah,
That's really freaking weird. I never saw that episode.
it's the
Cool.
last one. It's on Netflix. In any case, one of
That
these we
that
should do should be a
is
Star
not
Trek
enticing
special.
at all.
Star
Yeah,
Trek
let's do a
special.
Star Trek special. Let's
Well,
do it right now. Okay, let's go.
we should do the Civil War one first. We've only been planning it for 4 months.
Yeah. So, how are you guys enjoying us talking and dedicating this entire podcast about Civil War? And we actually haven't talked anything Marvel yet. We've talked some throwing shade at DC, and we've talked about Star Trek.
Batman v Stupid Man: Dawn of Justice.
Oh god. Okay, we need to actually talk about Marvel.
It's a marvel we get anything done around here.
Because Marvel is sponsoring this episode. I'm kidding. No, they're not because we don't have money. But if Marvel, you do want to sponsor us, please do. We will take all of your not very hard earned cash.
Yeah, we're just throwing it at you at this point. Like, you give us a movie with a dude from Parks and Rec and a raccoon and a tree, and we're just going to pay lots of money to go see it.
I must say, me and Troop started watching Parks and Rec. continuing the not actually talking about what we came here to talk about trend. And it's very enjoyable.
Yes, I like I hate comedy. That's something like I have a good sense of humor, but I hate sitcoms and things I find inane like comedy. I know that's really pretentious. I don't really care, but I actually like Parks and Rec in small doses. I
It
really do.
everything about that comedy is absolutely perfect. It reminds me of The Office just enough, but it's not any of the stupid horribleness from The Office.
Oh my gosh, The
It just
Office
makes it
was so
beautiful.
close to funny sometimes.
Yeah.
The only thing I really love about The Office is the parkour scene. Like I will go when I get depressed, I'll go and watch that on YouTube and I will be happy afterwards.
I must say, my family watched several seasons of The Office when I was in middle school-ish, and I wasn't completely bored the entire time, but I wasn't like enthralled and entertained and invested in the characters all of the time, and I am with Parks and Rec.
Hmm.
Like it will be midnight, and me and Troops will be completely exhausted, and we'll be like, we have to find out what's next.
Right.
Have to watch another episode. 3 in the morning. We have to watch the next season.
Oh man, I am so ready to go on another tangent right now and talk about binging TV shows. But we're five rabbit trails down, so let's try and close up the rabbit trails and we'll talk about those another time.
Oh, but talking about other things that we're not actually supposed to be talking about, this just seems so much more entertaining right
It might get us back to it because it's actually DC. Okay, in the
now.
hope that six rabbit trails will equal a U-turn, I'm going to talk about DC as our sixth rabbit trail, and that
Uh,
is
okay, go for it.
that yesterday I finally got a chance to show Transforcer some of the very first episodes he's ever seen of Justice League Unlimited.
What?
He had never
It's
seen it
taking
before.
him this freaking long?
So I showed him I showed him the first three episodes of Justice League where like they all get together, origin story, blah blah blah. And he sat down and watched most of it, and then he started playing phone games. Well, you're not watching anymore, so I'm just going to keep watching. So I kept watching because it's a great show,
I have seen all of both series before,
multiple
but
times.
yeah. Well, I don't know about multiple times, but I did get Troops into it.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh,
and I lured her in. See, a lot of things in our relationship is I'm just luring her in through fantasy.
that's really creepy sounding.
It is, but it works spectacularly. Like
Oh
she
my
hadn't
goodness.
watched Firefly before she met me. I showed her Firefly. We ended up cuddling. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's pretty great. She didn't know she wasn't really into Marvel movies, but now she is. She wasn't really into Minecraft. I made her watch me play, and now she loves it. She's like, I'm just luring her with my nerdiness, and it worked out spectacular for me. Anyway, I must say she did enjoy JLU a lot better, but that's just because it had a lot more diversity of characters that she had never heard of
I
before.
think it's a better show actually.
Yeah, I just like the range of stories that it's able to tell
Yeah.
instead of the first one where it's just like, well, here are the same 9 characters over and over again.
Then
Oh look,
again,
Flash is being funny. Oh cool, John Stewart still has a big boner for Hawkwoman.
Hawkgirl, Hawkgirl.
Well, that's sexist.
So is saying that
It's Hawkman, not Hawkboy.
I know it is sexist,
So it should be Hawkwoman.
but it's not me. It's them.
Yeah, I know. I know.
It's them.
And I did say Hawkwoman on mistake just because I guess that's how I think of her. I don't know.
Oh, I thought you were putting your SJW hat on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know one of those. Anyway,
Yeah, no.
um,
Someone tried to give that to me once, and I put it with the rest of my Star Trek Enterprise memorabilia.
oh, in the garbage. Oh, slam on Enterprise. Anything you have to do for it, man. It's worth it. Well, we should also talk about DC animated shows sometime because there's a
Write
lot
it
of them.
down, put it on the list. Just like, hey, we need to brainstorm topics. This is hilarious. Okay, I'm gonna go down another rabbit trail because we literally sit around sometimes and be like, what can we possibly do for conversation topics on this new podcast that we're trying to come up with? And eventually we throw something together and it comes off pretty well. But now, when we're actually trying to do a podcast, is when we're actually coming up with quality ideas for what we should do for other podcasts. And it's just really freaking hilarious to me.
As a matter of fact, I've been meaning to talk to you sometime about some of this DC stuff and about how it might possibly fit into a potential crisis we would be having. Which it's not anything bad, but it would be obviously something to deal with later, a potential crisis of good proportions. But yes, nothing ominous there at all. Um,
Stop it! You're not foreshadowing well.
Damn, it was a good effort.
Okay,
Good
it
effort.
was it was typically mechanisty
It was pretty
half-assed.
derpy, wasn't it?
So it was beautiful and perfect by our standards.
Pretty
Okay,
derpy.
now that we've talked about literally every other franchise in fantasy. Oh, Lord of the
Lord of the
Rings.
Rings.
Okay, now
Peter Hollins and Hank Green drinking
let's just
songs.
let's just drop that there. Okay, moving on. Uh, now let's actually talk about Marvel.
Yeah, let's do it.
So first thing off, completely spoiler-free thoughts. Just like 2 sentences. What were your impressions of the film, and what do you like remember feeling about it looking back on it?
Well, it's interesting because I was really scared. I didn't like Age of Ultron, and I think we've talked about how we disagree on this.
Um, I I didn't. It's not that I dislike Age of Ultron. It's
Just
just Age of Metron.
exactly, Metron, Age of Metron.
It's
Uh,
just like I was entertained, and there were moments where I thought were really great, but overall, I just thought like it was trying to be something. Like I just felt there was something missing.
so my first thought is I think it was a much better ensemble movie than Age of Ultron. Age of
Yes.
Ultron felt like here's all these people we need to give some screen time to. We have to introduce new people. We have to figure out how they interact. We have to pretend that they like each other and have been, a part of this team for some time and deal with this crisis and then back to business as usual or whatever, afterwards. And Civil War just felt a lot more human. It felt a lot more like the people were actually existing in reasonable ways. It didn't throw as many curveballs to the premise of the movie as the other one did. It felt a lot more believable than, robot coming from the staff with the Jarvis with, all of that. That felt kind of bizarre. Whereas Civil War just felt like, yeah, obviously everybody's a little bit unhappy with everything going on. The way they, brought in Wakanda and some of the characters from that was tasteful. Um, and I think that really was an appropriate way to do a Civil War story in the existing Marvel universe. I think it was well done. It's not my favorite movie still. That title still goes to Winter Soldier, but it is a good movie. I think that it is a very solid entry into the franchise. I'd say its biggest weakness is you really need to have seen some of the other movies to understand how great it is.
Mm,
It's not a great standalone movie. It's a great franchise movie.
mm.
But maybe that's okay. Maybe it's not meant to be a standalone film. Maybe after 3 Captain America movies and 2 Avengers movies and who knows how many other movies, the Russo brothers are entitled to just make a good franchise movie. Because that's exactly how Infinity War is going to be as well.
Yeah, I've heard that very similar sentiment from a lot of other people. Is now that we're getting into we're progressing in the phases to that where a superhero is never truly standalone.
Mm,
Just like we're doing ensemble pieces now. Like Spider-Man is even gonna get his own solo thing because we know that Iron Man's gonna be in it, and he's
incidentally,
gonna be kind of a mentor role,
yeah.
which I'm not entirely. not looking forward to. Like, I'm looking forward to it, even though
Spider-Man in
I have issues with
Avengers
Tony
was
Stark.
Spider-Man in Civil War was way beyond my expectations.
It
That was
was
one of the
absolutely
best.
fantastic.
And that's a little bit spoilery, but it's been 4 months. There's definitely a statute of limitations on that spoiler. Everybody kind of knew Spider-Man was going to be there. It was done really well, and it actually made me excited for a Spider-Man movie, which I haven't been ever because Tobey Maguire movies were kind of there. I mean, the first one was okay, and the Andrew Garfield movies, I actually went and saw one of those in the theater, and I was never impressed because it felt like just taking Tobey Maguire and making it a little less cheesy.
Mm, I never saw either of the Andrew Garfield ones
Yeah, I
because
saw both,
Tobey
but
Maguire's ruined Spider-Man for me.
well, I mean, the first one was good.
It was decent.
Strutting down New York, and the third one kind of was just
Oh
a
God.
huge turd on the franchise.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I remember being honestly freaked out by William Defoe. That's also the first role I've ever seen William Defoe in. And
nice.
now from then on, when I see him, it's just like, oh my God, it's the Green Goblin. And it kind of makes
That
me feel the
mirror
wigglies.
scene, like when he's breaking the
Yes.
mirror, that still that's the only thing I still drastically remember from that movie, and it's
Yes.
nightmarishly stupid and bad.
And beautiful all at
But
once.
I'm actually excited for the new
It's his
Spider-Man movie.
it's his best Golem impression, and he doesn't do a horrible one. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, and
I
and
must say though, okay, the the my spoiler free thoughts on this. Uh, I was grinning ear to ear this entire movie just because it was so great, and I was just geeking out over everything. My favorite part in the entire thing is Black Panther. I
well done.
absolutely love Black Panther. He's absolutely fantastic. Chadwick Boseman is instantly one of my favorite actors of all time. After this, I'm so freaking hyped for the Black Panther movie more than I am for any other Marvel Cinematic Universe movie coming up. And that's saying a lot because I'm pretty excited about Doctor Strange just because like he's from my point of view, like he's one of the more obscure characters that I don't know as much about, and I'm very excited to see that. I'm very excited for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which
Yeah,
Guardians was one of my favorite Marvel movies of all time, but I'm so hyped for Black Panther.
yeah.
Oh, God,
Um, so Chadwick Boseman was a highlight for me too.
fantastic.
He looked really like somebody who I already felt connected with as an actor. So I've been looking up his filmography to see if there's anything else I recognize. Um, he was in 42 as Jackie Robinson, so I think I saw him at least in the trailer for that. I don't think I saw that. He was in Gods of Egypt, which I did not see. He was in a
Who's in
couple.
God's? He was. Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's done a bunch of cameos in TV series. He was in All My Children, Law and Order, CSI, ER, Cold Case. So he's definitely more of a TV person than a movie person. But I don't think
He's a movie person now.
yeah, he's definitely on the end with that. I don't think I actually did see any of his other works. So like I think the only thing I remember him from is the trailer for 42, which I was going to go see and never did. But Chadwick Boseman did a great job in this movie. The performances in it were really solid.
Absolutely.
I think that was my favorite carryover from A Winter Soldier. Was it was really well acted,
Absolutely.
and it was well paced too. Like it made a
Yes.
lot of sense.
Absolutely. It never felt too rushed. It never felt too slow.
Right.
Even though it still had slower parts as well as the actiony parts. Um, I think one of the great things that I really like about this movie is how it gives attention to all of the characters in a
Yes.
way that neither feels forced nor like we're leaving anybody else out. And I think a huge part of this is just how the Russo brothers approach this movie, where I've heard from a lot of different interviews and stuff that they storyboarded out very much. Okay, we're going to make sure that all of these heroes, like you understand them and their feelings on these issues. I think one of them said specifically we know at this point in the franchise there's going to be someone in the theater who just came to see Black Widow and what Black Widow thinks, or just came to see Hawkeye and what Hawkeye thinks about all this, and or like just Vision, just like, oh, hey, which like I felt a lot better about Vision in this movie than I did of Age of Ultron,
It was
because
super weird, the whole Scarlet Witch Vision thing, though. That
I
tripped
didn't
me
think it
out.
was that weird. It was a little strange, but at the same time, like, don't you think that would be strange in real life? Because his humanity is kind of in question because he's a robot, but at the same time, he has free will and feelings, which kind of makes him human. It's just, it's a very gray area and it's very strange.
Well, he came.
And
The Mind Stone was involved in his birth, so there's obviously some full mind capabilities he has, emotions and
yeah,
full thought range included. Yeah,
yeah, which is going to be really sad when Thanos rips that Mind Stone out of his forehead. Spoiler alert.
that's like a serious four spoiler alert because you know this. Not many people are going to listen to this, and that movie's not for another few years. So,
Well,
wow.
I mean, like, I don't think it's that big of a spoiler if you're paying attention.
So, do you think that he's going to get somehow revived after Thanos is defeated?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Think they're just going to be like, here, shove the stone back into his body?
Yeah, I'm
And it
just
works?
wondering how like they're going to do that because his he was created with one of the okay shit their name just went right out of my brain.
Infinity Gems?
Yes, those. The only thing I could think of was Benedict del Toro's concentrated ingots. And I didn't want to say concentrated ingots. Yes, infinity gems. Like there is a literal infinity gem embedded in his forehead, and Thanos is collecting the infinity gems and sticking them on his gauntlet. Like that's what all of the holes there are for. And like, okay, if you have watched these movies and seen Thanos before and not gone home and Googled that shit, like you're obviously not really invested and you're not going to watch this. And two, even if it's a thing, like this shouldn't be that big of a spoiler.
Yeah.
Just like he's gathering the Infinity Gems. Like it's gonna happen. It's gonna be quite obvious when it happens. It's just like so. I just think that somehow he's going to remove the Mind Stone from Vision's face because I think it would be weird if like Vision's head is just stuck onto his gauntlet and like the rest of his body is just like flopping around freely.
It's interesting. On the Vision Wikipedia page, according to the comics, he didn't have an Infinity Gem. He had the Solar Jewel, which absorbed ambient solar energy to provide power.
Oh,
So,
because he wasn't. He's even more Superman-y with his
yeah.
power is derived from the sun.
So
Cool,
it's possible that he won't ever get the
cool.
Mind Stone back and he'll be nerfed, which would make a lot of sense, and just put him in like something solar and nerf him.
I'd really be okay with that. He
Me
kind of
too.
needs to be nerfed.
He's way OP.
And but at the same time he doesn't do anything.
Well, yeah.
Because it's just like, Vision, you're so OP and powerful. I guess we'll just leave you home and we'll fight the terrorists by ourselves. Oh, cool. By the way, can you babysit Scarlet Witch? Oh, she totally kicked your ass. Okay, never mind. Okay, cool. Can you come fight Captain America's team with us? Oh, you're just gonna stand there and shoot lasers at two different things and hit both of them, but miss on the second one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what you're gonna do? Okay, cool. Good talk. Good talk, Vision. Good talk. Go bank Scarlet Witch now.
Wow.
Can I just say yes? It was a little awkward how they kind of like be like, hey, Scarlet Witch and Vision are having this will they won't they relationship just like they're having in the comics. Personally, yes, it's kind of weird. It's kind of a gray area because of the whole robotics thing. But if Scarlet Witch wants to hit that, she gets to do whatever she wants to do.
Hashtag feminism?
Hashtag free will.
Hmm. Okay. Uh, Man, I'm not going to get into robosexuality on this podcast. That will get hella weird.
Oh, we should definitely write that down for a future one, though.
Like,
Just like,
oh
welcome
man.
back to the December 2030th Best of Both Worlds podcast. Today we're talking about robot sexuality.
Well,
And
by
by
then,
then, it'll
yeah.
be like a huge thing.
Okay.
And there
I'm.
actually aren't any Asian women anymore. They're just Asian women robots.
Oh wow, that's weird and kind of racist. Uh, like okay,
I'm,
weird minor tangent. On Reddit the other day, there was a guy who did an Ask Me Anything, an AMA on Ask Reddit, where he makes robotic sex dolls,
okay, cool. Yeah.
and that is not
It's a
my
breaking
thing.
field. Yeah, it's not my thing.
Like it really creeps me out, honestly. But I was really curious what people would ask him and what he would say, and
What's your favorite color?
I didn't see anyone ask him that. Like they were
Oh,
targeted questions.
I bet he was really disappointed. He wanted
What is your name? What is your quest?
This guy just wanted to tell everyone that his favorite color is fuchsia.
Fuchsia. I mean blue. I mean ah.
And everyone's like, hey, you should talk about your weird robot sex dolls.
Yeah. Well, he also makes like robotic prosthetic limbs and stuff. But
Okay.
apparently, there's not as much market for those as sex dolls. So good work, America. Uh,
Yeah.
anyway, I'll let people go find that if they want to. I'm not going to talk about that because it actually creeped me out. But apparently, it's a thing.
I have heard about it before, and I guess this was maybe a couple of years ago, where just like they were talking about it and what it means for humanity. Just like this is kind of an issue, guys. If humans stop having sex with other humans and they think having sex with robots is better, at the same time, I mean,
If
it would be a kind of convenient way to solve the population issues we're having.
Well, I mean, if it gets too much, you might say we're boned pretty well. So
But
that's
yeah.
true. Anyway,
Anyway, I thought you said we weren't talking about robot sex on the show today.
I didn't want to, but I had to bring it up because it was really weird, and I had to tell somebody. Like, this is my moment of confession. Forgive
Oh,
me,
by the way, we're
Sassy, for
still
I
on
have
topic
sinned.
1 of 6.
Yeah, yeah. We should move on to topic 2 because we're like
Oh,
45 minutes
this.
in.
Yeah, so this we're talking about spoilers now.
If you don't like
Um,
spoilers, that's too bad.
so so this is exactly what we were just talking about, but now,
More
even though
details.
we're we're talking about spoilers now. So, what did you think about Ant-Man dying?
I thought that it was tasteful. I wasn't sure at first how I was going to deal with it because Paul Rudd is pretty fantastic, but it just served the perfect opportunity to tell all these stories. And when they were able to use his death to bring Quicksilver back, it was like, man, what a good trade. It made me feel happy inside.
Yeah, although it was so heartbreaking, and it just really brought out how cold and callous Tony is because he just like squashed him under his boot. And then I really didn't like how he like then took out his magnifying glass and burned his broken body.
It was like
It's
Sid
like
from Toy Story,
it was like
like
really? It was like really, Tony? Like you have such daddy issues that you're literally burning helpless creatures just to go on a power trip.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it was bad, but then when yeah, it had its
If you
moments.
haven't seen the movie, this is gonna be really hilarious because none of this happened.
No, we're just screwing around.
Ant-Man didn't die. He's still alive. He was amazing.
Quicksilver
Uh,
sucked. He wasn't allowed
and
to go.
Quicksilver's still dead.
Go
Sorry,
away.
Quicksilver. No one likes you.
R.I.P. One movie. Oh,
One off.
the agent gets a call. Yeah, you want to use my client for something? Oh, for Marvel. That's great. How many movies are you planning to put him in? Uh
What?
huh. Yeah,
Oh,
we'll get back to you.
he might have a flashback, like eventually, but then we'll only pay you like $20 as an
Yeah,
actor. I'll take it.
yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, okay, so yeah, we're completely messing you. No, none of that happened.
Um, so
Um,
obviously, let's just go for the biggest spoiler right out of the gate. Bucky is the bad guy.
Not really.
No, but like in Tony's story, Bucky is the bad guy.
Just because he has daddy issues.
Well, yeah, but like this pretty firmly. That's the whole reason of the Civil War is Bucky is, you know, I'm with you to the end of the line versus, I'm broken and hurt because I hate myself because I was not good to my father and my father was not good to me.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that Bucky is the reason why Civil War happens.
No,
I
I'd
think
agree.
Bucky is the reason why it all kind of comes to a head and is a cluster. But the reason why this story exists is because all of the other Marvel movies existed.
Yeah, and there was definitely some personality conflicts that were bound to arise.
Yeah. So, yeah. Um, I have to be honest, this was very hard for me to sympathize with Iron Man during this movie.
He was kind of an ass for most of it.
I can't. It's really difficult for me.
Like, obviously we have, and we're going to talk more about this later, we have different opinions on the actual, message of the movie, part of the whole security freedom thing. That's something that kind of carried over from Winter Soldier and came to a head in this movie of, security versus freedom. And is
Yeah.
there a place for the two? And you and I have different opinions, and that's okay. I think that's healthy because if you don't have a balance of it, you go off too far in one direction. But um,
Anarchy.
totalitarianism, uh,
Oh,
yay. Uh,
yay.
yeah. We need a gift set for that right now. Right now. I don't know what you would put underneath, but put something underneath. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it was really good. I think that um, the opening sequence set a good tone. Like dealing with Crossbones was a nice nod to the fans who remembered. Uh,
I'm disappointed that they set him up to be this big villain and then just killed him so quickly though. I mean, I was a little disappointed. I wanted to see him as like more of a recurring villain, but
but
it it
at the
it
same
wasn't a bad
time,
showing. It wasn't a bad
like
showing
if
by any
they
means.
upped the ante on Crossbones from the comics. Like Crossbones was obviously a big deal in the comics, but they had to, make his story more poignant and quick in the movies because there wasn't much time for it in Winter Soldier, so they rushed
Yeah.
through it, and we got the glimpse of it, and then this happened here, and I think it was well done. It was meaningful. It actually showed them long term getting rid of a problem, which up till then have they've been moderately successful at.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. At the same time, like is implied in the movie when you listen to their chatter, like they have been following around Crossbones trying to get him for some time now.
Yeah,
Like he has been a recurring villain for him, for them, and they have been actively fighting him. We just don't get to see that. We just get to see the one battle where he dies.
I'd say the biggest flaw that happened story wise in the movie is that obviously Wakanda is meant to be kind of this mysterious, sheltered country, but the Black Panther in the royal family is a pretty poorly guarded secret. And like, if you have any inclination that this person exists, which if you're going to be bombing the United Nations, you would probably know about the biggest threats from the countries that are represented. You might have an inclination that the Black Panther might be there and be a problem for you.
What do you mean?
Well, like, I would say maybe this is something I'm over exaggerating the problem of, but if you do your research about who you're going to be bombing, which sounds really
Oh,
sinister,
so you're talking about Zemo's perspective.
yeah, like obviously
Oh,
Zemo's plan wasn't about himself, it was a framing plan.
yeah.
But at the same time, Bucky is somebody who has the resources and allies to potentially backfire on you, as it did.
Yeah.
So it seemed like kind of a plot hole they never addressed of the fact that Black Panther previously existed, and we don't have anybody who cares or tries to do anything about it.
Yeah. So, from your perspective, it was just like Zemo was trying to do his whole master plan of splitting the Avengers, and Daddy Black Panther just caught up in collateral, and then like, oh, Black Panther is the thing now.
Yeah, it felt very rushed, whereas Black
Mm,
Panther it felt like was also meant to be already established, at least within Wakandan
mm,
lore. And so not addressing that seemed like a pretty big oversight.
mm.
Um, but
Yeah,
I mean, you can
yeah,
explain it away as saying, well, he knew that Black Panther would be there, and so that'd be somebody else going after Bucky. But that doesn't split the Avengers apart.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I suppose now that I'm thinking about it, that's kind of a plot hole. Up until now, I've kind of just seen that as another layer of his plan that can either happen or not happen, and it
Hmm.
doesn't like really affect anything either way. Like, okay, he learns that Wakanda, and does he know that Black Panther is a thing? Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't, depending on how secretive Wakanda is about the whole Black Panther superhero existing. Um, so if he does know about it, let's just assume he knows about it. Like when he blows up the building, either the prince is going to get into the Black Panther costume and go after Bucky, who he framed for the bombing, or he's going to sit back and do nothing.
Yeah.
Either way, everyone's pissed at Bucky, and the Avengers are split and going off on Bucky. It's just whether the trying to capture Bucky side is bolstered by the additional Black Panther or not.
While we're on the subject of
So
splitting the Avengers apart, maybe this is because I don't have the mind of a deranged madman who lost his entire family, but I wouldn't try to split the Avengers apart. I would just want them to die.
yeah, but
But he is mentally ill, so, you know.
yeah, he's having some mental issues. I think what makes this villain different, honestly, I think he's one of the better Marvel villains just because he has emotional weight to him.
Hmm.
You understand why he's doing his actions, and you can sympathize to a point with his actions, and instead of I'm an angry space elf and I want everything to be dark so I can play my emo music. It's just like, cool. Yeah.
Darkness. No, parents.
Cool, Thor, kick his face in. Like, I don't care about this at all. It's just like, oh, I'm a freaky weirdo who you insulted one night on a roof, and
Oh my
gave
god.
myself fire steroids, and now I really hate you. It's just like every other
Oh,
villain so far
yes.
has
Oh.
tried to just kill them because it's whatever they're in their way. The superheroes are in the villain's way of their overarching world/universe domination conquest attempts. And this one was just he wanted to make an impact. He saw Ultron tried to just kill him off, and that didn't work. And he wants to split them physically and emotionally and mentally like they split him,
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
which I think is
If I don't know how I
brilliant
feel
and
about it.
creepy all at once.
I still am not convinced because one of the things I felt is that it's a little weaker if there is an external bad guy, if it's not just two sets of good guys fighting over different ideals. I feel like it kind of loses a little bit. But I mean, I get that it's really hard to tie that up in a nice bow and make a movie out of it if it's just good guys fighting.
Yeah, the thing is, uh, watching this movie and watching it again after you get the whole Baron Zemo set Bucky up and then did his whole train car furnace 17-3, all of that longing, longing. It's just after he does this whole thing, and okay, so everyone's after Bucky because they're really sure he did now because he went crazy and he couldn't be controlled, and so why couldn't that have happened before? And yada yada yada. I never really felt like the heroes were truly being manipulated.
Yeah,
I never really felt like he was just like, oh, I have to balance this so perfectly so that I can get two people who actually love each other to kiss, I mean, fight. It's just like, I felt like that strife already existed and it was already like becoming an issue in Age of Ultron. Like they kind of planted the seeds of Cap versus Tony. Well, I mean, even in Avengers, they kind of planted the seeds of that, and I just felt like the movie came to a head with all of this. It's not like that he got the good guys to fight and it was meaningless. I felt like every fight had meaning because people actually believed in what they were doing, which is a lot more powerful than just a manipulation
yeah.
plot.
All of the action was very character driven.
It was very great. Yes,
Yeah.
I heard the Russo brothers got like action figures of all of the different people, and they like planned out all of the action series in full. So like they made sure that there's no loopholes with people. So like the entire airport battle was like miniaturized, and they like made sure everyone who was fighting everybody else and everybody had like a thing to do. And
Well,
yeah,
Vision kind of disappears for a while,
yeah.
but that's
Besides that,
understandable. Yeah.
besides that, because Vision doesn't do anything. Oh, he just flew through me.
Oh my goodness. What else do you think, spoiler wise? I think I'm about tapped out on what I remember spoiler wise. It's been a couple of months since I've seen it.
Yeah, there was a lot more Spider-Man than what I was expecting,
Hmm.
which I was really okay with.
It was fun.
It was quite excellent.
It was less quippy,
Um,
which was good.
what do you mean?
Age of Ultron was so many quips. It's like Ultron quips, then
Yeah,
Tony quips, then Captain America quips, then Black Widow quips, then Ultron quips again. And this one was like, yeah, do one every 5 minutes instead of one of every two. It felt a lot better paced in terms of the humor and the dialogue. Really
yeah.
good. Really, really good.
Thank you for thinking of me. I think is my favorite line. Then, oh, you have a metal arm? That's so cool.
Yeah.
Just like Spider-Man is Healbot.
Spider Man is a total fangirl, and I love it.
Healbot is Spider-Man. You have a metal arm? That's so
And that
cool.
makes me really excited for Spider Man Homecoming because there are very few other moments when you get to see Spider Man as having been influenced by other heroes and not just Uncle Ben's great power, great responsibility thing. Like he actually has other heroes that he's looking up to and who have provided an example of how to operate. I'm excited for that.
When you can do the things that I can do, and the bad things still happen, it happens because of you. No, that's not the line. Say it. With great power comes great responsibility. There it is. Oh God, Heishi is fantastic. I'm sorry, I'm shamelessly ripping you off, but that's because I love you. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's most of it. I think honestly, some of my biggest holes in this is it's never really explained why. Okay, they explain why Scarlet Witch is on um Captain America's side.
Hmm.
It's just because she feels trapped and she wants to get out and she wants to be seen more as a human. I don't feel like they explained why Hawkeye joined Captain America's side, and I don't really feel like they explained why Ant Man joined Captain America's side. It's just like, hey, It's just like I
I
feel like they just had all of the lineup of superheroes and they just got picked. You're just like, well,
That would actually be
Hawkeye,
really fun to see, like dodgeball with the superheroes, where you have team captains and picking that. That would have been amazing.
Hawkeye's phone rings. Hey, what's up? And Captain America's like, "Hey, we're having like a Civil War fighty thing. I need you on my team." And Hawkeye's like, "Oh, cool, man. I'm gonna dress up." 5 minutes later, Tony calls, "Hey, Hawkeye, we're having a Civil War thing. I really need you on my team." And Hawkeye's like, "Oh, sorry, man. Like, I really appreciate you, and I really understand like your point of view, and I respect that. But I already got picked for a different team. I'm sorry.
So
So,
I
see you tomorrow."
that would be funny. The thing I want to say is I do know why Ant Man is on Captain America's side. There's two reasons. One is that I think he would have been on Iron Man's side too if Iron Man had called first. He just was awestruck by the first person who invited him to be part of the team, and
It's a bit of it.
yeah. And the other part is that the only Avenger he's had any contact with is Falcon,
Falcon.
who's on Captain America's side.
Yeah, I was about to say that is it's just that personal relationship
Right.
with
Even if it was antagonistic.
them.
Yeah.
Well, a little antagonistic. They're kind of bro fighting though.
I'd really appreciate it if Cap never found out about this.
Just like they never really hurt each other. They're
Yeah.
just like he was auditioning. Ant Man was
Well, I
auditioning.
mean, he wrecked Falcon's suit, but
Yeah, because that's so hard to do.
anyway, good. It was a good movie.
It was an excellent movie, and if you haven't seen it, please do at least rent it from like Redbox or something when it comes out. And I'm gonna buy it. I'm absolutely gonna buy it.
Yeah, it's
So with
actually still
that,
at some theaters.
it is
Yeah,
good.
it's at one near my house. I should go see it sometime.
You should go see it sometime.
All right, what is next, my good sir?
We have to rate all the MCU movies from your least favorite to your most favorite, and why.
It's funny. I already have a list of those already typed out.
Oh, me too. This thing was made in August. No, 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 earlier June.
Yeah, same.
June.
All right, there are 13.
So should we go like both lists are 13s and then our 12s and then our 11s, or should we do one person's complete list and then the other person's complete list?
Uh, it'll be confusing if we go back and forth. Let's do complete lists.
Okay, you go first.
All right, starting out with number 13, we have Thor: The Dark World.
No, it's not the
Yes.
worst
Coming in at the
one.
worst Marvel movie is Malekith and the Magic Kool-Aid into the sky holes with the naked professor and pixelated balls.
Darkness. I must
Uh,
say, the second time I watched it, I kind of understood
it's
Malekith more,
fun. It's a fun movie,
but
but it really makes no sense. It's stupid. Loki is just there as fan service. The whole thing is really just a time killer waiting for Avengers 2. It serves no purpose in the overall scheme, and while it's fun to watch, it's not that great.
I think, okay, yeah,
It's just
yeah.
a toss away.
I don't know. Okay, so like it seems like we really feel kind of similarly about this, but I don't mind the fact that it's just a fun movie and it doesn't really have that great of an impact on the universe as a whole because it's enjoyable. It's not my favorite one. It okay, so it did crack the top 10.
It did.
Yeah, it did for me. Um but I mean like it didn't crack my top 9, let's just say it that way. Um, it's not my favorite movie, but it's enjoyable. And when I watched it again, because I showed Troops, because Troops hadn't seen it before, she enjoyed it as well. It's definitely not either of our favorites, but it's an enjoyable movie that you can kind of just like sit back and have fun with. And so for that reason, I don't think it deserves to be the worst one. But that's my 2 cents. Please toss it in the wish fountain
All
and wish
right.
for a better Thor movie. Hashtag Ragnarok.
I'm actually Ragnarok. I'm very excited for because we'll get more Mark Ruffalo. We'll get a good Thor movie, and we'll end up seeing what happened with Asgard. So that will be very fun. Moving
Yeah.
on to number 12, we have The Incredible Hulk. Really, just not that memorable. Only the second movie after Iron Man. I get it confused all the time with Hulk, the one right before it. This is the one that has. I have to look up which actor was in which because that's how unmemorable they are to me. This was the one
Edward
with
Norton,
with
right?
Norton, and Bana
Yep.
was in the Hulk movie. This is the Incredible Hulk. Kind of forgettable, not that great. I mean, it does have some foreshadowing to Captain America, I believe, but
See, okay, A,
yeah.
I've never seen it.
Ah,
B, I'm pretty sure it technically came out first. I
no.
think it came out before Iron Man did.
The Incredible Hulk came out on June 13th, 2008, and Iron Man came out on May 2nd, 2008. Iron Man preceded it by 1 month.
Oh, cool. Well, Iron Man was great.
Iron Man was great, and that'll be much higher up on my list. But in number 11, we have Iron Man 3.
Oh, this is hilarious.
And I recognize that it's not Iron Man 2 that's in this position. Iron Man 2 I actually liked more than Iron Man 3. Uh,
Lame.
Iron Man 3 turned Gwyneth Paltrow into a red spitting superhero that never gets talked of again, with magic spandex that somehow doesn't burn. Iron Man 3 made Iron Man become regular man, shamelessly ripping off Screen Junkies. Iron Man 3 had all of the Iron Man suits get destroyed for no apparent reason and suddenly all rebuilt, which, even for as reckless as Tony is, he wouldn't do. Iron Man 3 was really wasted. It took Jon Favreau, who directed the first two, and literally put him in the hospital in a coma with how bad it was, in the
Which it
movie,
kind of deserved after Iron Man 2.
which is higher up on my list, amazingly enough. Iron
Oh.
Man 3 wasted the AIM storyline. Eldritch Killian was a joke and not a funny one. The one redeeming quality of it was Tony running around without his suit, which makes it a good Tony Stark movie and a terrible Iron Man movie.
Mm.
Coming in at number 10, Avengers Age of Ultron.
Hmm.
Now, this is the thing. Once you crack top 10, really all of them are good. It's just which of them are better. All of
Yeah.
these movies are fun. Like, there haven't been that many that were pure duds. There hasn't been a Spider Man 3 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, really. Maybe The Incredible Hulk. But not.
Iron Man 2.
I like it better than Age of Ultron. Uh, Age of Ultron, really quippy. James Spader was wasted as Ultron. Not well written, not well directed, poorly paced, poor attention paid to characters. Redeeming quality, it made me like Hawkeye. Bad quality, he's still useless.
You're throwing a lot of shade against Joss Whedon right now, and I just feel like you're not allowed to insult the god of fantasy like that.
I thought that J.R.R. Tolkien was the god of fantasy.
Well, he's dead. I mean, yeah, he is, but I mean, Joss Whedon's alive, so he's like the god among us of fantasy.
Okay, okay. Uh, it
How's
was
that?
it was the movie was so rough to make it. It really broke Joss Whedon. He quit Twitter. He didn't have any new films in production. He's pretty well under the radar because of how painful that was to make, how much expectations were high, and at the end of the day, how it just didn't really meet them for me and for some other people. Even though it's a solid movie, but it's not a great movie. Not a great
Yeah,
movie.
yeah. It didn't do what
Not a great
they
movie.
wanted it to do.
Yeah.
It's
Rounding.
it's kind of sorry, just interjecting
Yeah.
here a little bit. Now that I'm looking back on it, it's kind of reminiscent of the Batman v Superman things that DC's going through right now,
Hmm. I
because
haven't seen that.
it made its money back at the box office,
Oh yeah.
and it did way more than that. With all of the other merchandise that they sell, lunchboxes, toys, action figures, etc., etc. The list goes on forever. It's just like, that's kind of why they make the movies in the first place, is that and merch.
Right.
But, like, that's not what they wanted it to do. They didn't want to just make its money back and be a decent movie, although calling Batman v Superman a decent movie is pushing it a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's just Like they wanted to shatter all of the box office records for the next 5 years. They wanted everyone to just be talking about that movie. They wanted every single theater to be packed full for like the first week, and none of those things happened. Instead, they're just like, yeah, it was okay.
Huh. Yeah. Yeah. It was a good movie, but it was low in my top 10.
Yep.
Low in my top 10. Rounding out number 9, break out the AC/DC. It's Iron Man 2. I want my bird. Is this a bird back in Russia? I want my bird.
That,
Um,
that's the only good thing about that movie.
yeah, it's utterly ridiculous. It's fun for how stupid it is. That's the only reason it's as high up on the list, is that even though it's inane and kind of terrible, uh, Mickey Rourke is kind of funny in a really shameful way. It's got quips that are funny. You know, you have the whole scene with Justin Hammer um, and you know, break out the ex-wife and it fails, and just like stupid slapstick comedy stuff. It's well paced for a comedy. It's not well paced for a superhero film. Uh, it has a lot of really terrible moments. Tony peeing in the suit is pretty low on my favorite
I
Marvel
forgot
moments.
about that.
DJing his own birthday party, that kind of makes up for it. Does not reach the level of, you know, Jeff Bridges, Obadiah Stane. As campy as that was, this one blows that out of the water. Get some good screen time with Black Widow and some of the Shield personnel. Phil Coulson kicks ass. Tasing you and watching Super Nanny, great quip. That was the moment I really loved Phil Coulson's character. Um, it has some good moments. It's well timed for comedy. It's not a great Marvel movie. Not a great Marvel movie. Number 8, we have Thor, the original. I'm so Thor from holding this hammer all day. Just got to introduce Thor's obligatory movie for the Avengers. It's fun. Like, I appreciate going through Asgard and seeing that. And Thor, it's a good, you know, fable of how, you know, Prince gets banished and has to learn humility in order to reclaim his title and his place. And in the end, chooses to stay with the people, except not really. And it's, you know, it is a good coming of age story. It's
Yeah,
not a great.
redemption plots.
Yeah, I like it. I'm a sucker for a good redemption plot. I almost said revenge plot. Um,
That too.
Loki is introduced. Loki is obviously well used in this movie, well enough that he's a big player in Avengers. Has some weak moments, but it's got some really fun ones too. Of, you know, people with their pickup trucks trying to pull the hammer out of the ground. It's got good. It has sometimes really good cultural questioning. You know, walking in and wanting a horse. Obviously, you can't do that. You know, this drink, I like it. Another got some good moments. Also, not some great
We
ones.
only sell dogs and cats and birds. Well,
Get,
get me one big enough to ride.
yeah, like good quippy stuff. Fun coming of age movie. Not my favorite superhero movie because there's not much action other than when you get him versus the large robot whose name I'm forgetting, and I feel really ashamed of that because I should know that.
He's
Uh,
like the exterminator or the Terminator,
yeah,
destroyer or
it's
something like
very
that.
generic, but I should
Dis-
remember it.
Destructo.
Destructo. That's
It's
DC.
basically the Terminator if the Terminator didn't speak.
Yeah. Um, but it's well done. I appreciate the movie, even though it's not my favorite. Natalie Portman is better than the prequel Star Wars movies, and
That's not saying much.
no, it's not. But it's a fun movie. Number 7, we have the Avengers. Not
Do.
Avengers are not cracking my top 10. In fact, no, not top 5. In fact, no ensemble movies are cracking my top 5. Well, with one exception, which isn't really an ensemble movie. Um, Avengers brought everybody together, pretty well done. Has some really tender moments, fun, you know, stuff. Whole, you know, everybody has their good moments. The Hulk falling out of the sky, uh, you know, buck ass nude, obviously a funny line and well done.
I'm
Uh,
always angry.
The death of Phil Coulson, really good until they ruined that by having him not be dead. Old spoiler alert.
What you
Um,
say?
yeah, Nick Fury is really, really powerful. Good way, brings everybody together. Captain America becomes the leader they need, but not necessarily the one they deserve, or something like that. And
No, they deserve Captain America.
yeah, it was an attempt at proving why it's better than DC still.
That's not even an argument. Of course, it's better than DC.
Yeah, which is sad because DC has better characters, but that's another day.
Meh.
But it's a solid movie, fun, but and it doesn't go in over its head. It just takes everything that's been established and makes it work. It doesn't try to add too much new stuff, and I think that that works really, really well for it.
Yay, Joss Whedon! You should
Joss
have quit
Whedon,
when you were
yeah.
ahead.
Oh, that's sad. At
Yeah.
number 6, New Kid on the Block, Captain America: Civil War.
Really that low?
Coming in at number 6. It's a good movie, a good
Damn.
follow up, but it requires a lot of other things you need to know about. Has some really heartfelt moments, but they're very complex. There's not very much just pure relatability sometimes. I really love the characters. I love the pacing. I like how it was written and acted. It felt very human, very character driven. Every action had a plot driven motivation. Fight sequence, including the airport, brilliantly choreographed, great execution, good amount of humor. I think it gets weak when it comes to the villain and when it comes to motivations, though, because for as good of a job as they have done in their whole, political aspects of having superheroes around and what that means in the world and the metaphor of that, it just kind of gets lost in translation and it gets a little bit sticky. And obviously, we've talked about it. And I enjoy the movie. It's fun, but it's not the one I would go to if I just wanted a Marvel movie to watch because I wanted to feel a superhero way. Coming in at
I
number
have a
5.
couple interjections here
Would you please?
that we talk about. So, first off, can I just say I don't necessarily fault Civil War for you having to see the other movies. This is a complaint that I'm hearing from a lot of people, so I recognize that it's valid for some people. Some critics are saying like I feel like I have to do homework before watch the next Marvel movie, and it's just like yeah, like you don't want to have to worry about homework during when you're just wanting to watch a movie and relax. At the same time, that's not something I can say because I've seen all of the
Mm-hmm.
movies. So I don't really know how the movie comes across to someone who hasn't seen all the rest of the ones.
That's fair. That's very fair.
I well, when we saw this movie, we didn't quite do the midnight showing, but it was like 10. When we saw the showing on May 5th, we took our friend Buck with us to watch the movie with us, and he hadn't seen a few of them. He had seen Winter Soldier, but he hadn't seen Age of Ultron, and he hadn't seen like Dark World or some of the little ones like that. But I think the biggest one is he hadn't seen Age of Ultron, and he enjoyed the movie just the same. He didn't. We did explain who Scarlet Witch and Vision were to him beforehand because we knew that'd be kind of weird. Just like there's a random robot walking around. Like, what is this person doing here? That is true. Now that I'm thinking about it, like that is kind of weird if you hadn't known about that beforehand. But I don't know. I don't
No,
really
I
feel
accept your
like I can
criticism.
make the argument that it's too referential just because I don't know anything that it's not referencing. That's
I
a
think
double
that's very
negative.
fair.
That's weird.
Yeah,
So, okay,
we've both
there's that.
seen a lot, so we're definitely not able to talk about how you would feel if you hadn't seen them. That
Yeah,
disqualifies us from that conversation.
yeah. And
I agree with that.
and then the second thing is, I guess we're kind of having a villain fight over this more than anything else, which is hilarious because I'm sure that will change drastically when we get further on in this podcast. I thought Zemo was a great villain. I didn't think he
Hmm.
was as great as Loki, but it's hard to match that kind of charisma and character knowledge that we've built up with him over what, three movies? Yeah,
Loki has been in 3, and he will be in Thor Ragnarok. Yeah.
he will be in Ragnarok. Okay, I didn't know that for sure, but I assumed he would at least be referenced or something. So I thought he was a great villain. I understood his wanting to get revenge on the Avengers for the heartbreak and the tragic loss of his family that he had. I definitely understood his mentality behind it being a normal human being. He can't take them down physically, but they can take each other down physically. And if he can exploit their personal weaknesses against one another, that's going to be a significantly more effective way to take them down than trying to fight them hand to hand or coming up with some big superhero or power or injecting yourself with fiery steroids or hiring a weird British actor to pretend to be not a terrorist but a teacher, or I guess I'm just making fun of the Mandarin a lot, aren't I? Not shamelessly ripping off Tony's Iron Man suit and making a stupid three times as big one. Or it's just like he's a normal guy, and he was an intelligence officer, and he understood how to exploit people's mentalities, like from an intelligence point of view. And so he used his skills to try to take down these people who he wants to take down. I didn't find him unrelatable or at all. I thought his actions made sense, and I thought he was relatable. Maybe that's just because I'm kind of scary on the inside.
Hmm. Well, I think that that's okay that we agree to disagree on that one because it was still a good movie, but we just disagree on how good the villain was.
Yeah, I thought he was a great villain. I would put him at number two of all of the Marvel villains under Loki.
I
I'd
would
be hard pressed to find a better one.
I would put him at number 3.
Who's better?
No, I wouldn't. He's at least 4 or 5. I would put
Damn.
at the top. Well, we'll get to the top because we haven't gotten there yet.
Um,
We'll have to talk about villains later.
okay.
Moving on to number 5. We have the one, the only, the original OG Iron Man. Uh, yeah. Uh, Fun movie. Launched the MCU with a bang. Robert Downey Jr. offers a great opening volley and of a superhero who was really not that popular, not that great of a superhero from the comics, and turned him into somebody relatable and likable and somebody you want to root for and want to slap across the face to stop making stupid decisions. Somebody with cool technology, really grounded, really cool stuff about having to face your own demons, be it alcoholism, be it the weapons you sold who are now being used to torture you and try and kill you. It's another kind of coming of age story and learning how to take responsibility. Really fun, good story, really unconventional. It's very different to kind of the whole Christopher Reeve Superman thing because you don't get any of that. You get a lot of I am Iron Man just straight off the bat, abandoning the secret identity, just making this open and relatable and very human. And it does a great job. Really fun movie. I put it at 5, but it could honestly hold its own much higher. The only reason I put it higher is because I like the humor of a few of the other movies that are in higher positions. But it's a great movie, and I watch it every so often because I just enjoy Iron Man. It's a great film. Great film. Number 4, Captain America: The First Avenger. I think it is the second best origin story after Iron Man of the Phase 1. It does a really great job of doing a period piece. It's fun to watch. It feels like you're, in a comic book version of World War II, which, for better or worse, isn't World War II and isn't a comic book, but some mixture of the two. It's fun to deal with. It's got genuine heartbreak when you lose Bucky. It sets up who Captain America is very well for the rest of the series. Makes him somebody who's a little bit out of touch with who you are, but you recognize him as somebody with strong ideals, good character, a little bit of a stick up there, but, a good guy. Definitely, if there's anybody on the Avengers roster, he's really high on the list of people you want to have coffee with. He's a A solid person, and it's a fun story.
I
Fun story.
understood that reference.
Yeah, the coffee. Yeah, yeah,
I,
yeah.
I I don't think you actually made a reference in there. I'm just saying the line because it's awesome.
Oh, I thought you were referencing the fact that I was half referencing the coffee shop scenes from High She's.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm down. I'm
Okay.
totally down.
Erase the last 10 seconds. It was totally intentional. Uh, Number three. I'm hooked on a feeling. We got the Guardians of the Galaxy. Uh, Great movie showing us a guy from Earth who's stuck with 80s music and a raccoon in a tree, and you know what? It works. It's fun. It has a great soundtrack. Plays into it. They subvert the trope of the guy always getting the girl exactly like that, and they just play with all of these kind of cheesy superhero movie things, and it makes it fun. It takes the entire Marvel formula, and while working within it, it inverts it completely. It turns people who really are anti-heroes and turns them into a badass hero team, and fun to watch. Great movie, great rewatch value. A lot of the other movies have really questionable rewatch value, like Thor: The Dark World. I would not just sit down and watch to have fun. I would absolutely sit down and watch Guardians of the Galaxy to have fun, because it is a fun movie. It makes you feel good, makes you enjoy life, and it makes you feel like there genuinely are sometimes unlikely heroes that rise up from the people and do the job that needs to be done. And it's a great origin movie. It's just a great superhero movie. A little bit weak on the villain side, but you know what? Screw it. It's too fun to hold that against him.
Ronan, the space lawyer.
Oh my gosh. Uh,
Can I just say that I would watch Thor: The Dark World every 69 months. I
okay.
would. I'd watch it a couple of times out of the year. I really feel no need to watch it more than that. At the same time, I own Guardians of the Galaxy and I watch it probably once a month.
Yeah, it's fun. It's just fun.
I kind of feel the itch to go watch it now. Well, I
After
want
we're
to
done.
watch
After we're done.
Winter Soldier first.
Uh, Coming in at number two. Another new kid on the block, Paul Rudd is Ant-Man. It is
Yes.
well paced, really funny. Feels more like you're watching a stoner comedy than like you're watching a superhero film. Great change of pace, but clearly set on the same universe.
Wait,
Good,
what? It's a stoner comedy?
kind of like it has kind of that vibe to it of you're half expecting Kevin James to show up on a Segway and be there. It's funny, it's stupid, it's absolutely wonderful, and it takes something really absurd from the comics that kind of has to be there because Ant-Man was a longtime member of the Avengers, and it
Oh, yeah.
makes it into something believable and at the same time completely ridiculous. Really fun, great comedy, absolute stunning job by the visual effects people,
It's
really
true.
solid performances. Michael Douglas is outstanding. Paul Rudd does something that's really exceeded what I expected of him as a comedy actor. Just fun. Not really many major critiques of it, other than the obvious, things are that are small still have the same mass. So why are they able to carry them sometimes? That whole thing's a little weak, but it's a plot hole that's worth.
My biggest issue with the
Yeah,
movie is it creates its own canon that it's only we've talked about this before, but that it's only shrinking it's only changing the density of particles, not
yeah,
the absolute mass in the particles, and then 5 seconds later people are carrying around tanks in their pocket.
right, right,
And it's
and
just like,
that's
come on,
obviously a
you
plot
broke
hole.
your own thing.
And I think they knew that. But it made for a great comedy moment, really
Yeah.
heartfelt, fun. I'm not going to hold it against them long term. And that leaves us at number one, what I think is the best Marvel movie, and I don't think it's going to be beaten anytime soon. Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which I have raved on and on about many times, and I'm going to rave on again about it one more time because it is not a superhero movie. It is a spy thriller. It has the excitement of a Cold War movie. It deals with timely themes of security and freedom, and it takes the superheroes and makes them into the best human metaphor I could ever have to explain this debate in a way that feels real and feels close to home. It takes Falcon and it brings him in. A really beautiful kind of family bonding between Cap and Black Widow. Really great chemistry between them. Absolutely beautifully written. It ties up a lot of loose ends from the first Avenger in a really fantastic way. I like it because it's not a by the book superhero film, it's a by the book spy movie, and it does a great job of that. Robert Redford as Alexander Pierce is my number one favorite Marvel villain because
Really?
he makes sense. He's not campy. He's somebody who they have to work very hard to defeat. He holds a great hand of cards and amazing action sequences, amazing timing, amazing writing. There is nothing I can think of that I would say is an immediate fault of the movie other than, the obvious, well, let's go to Falcon's house because met him once while we were running. That's a little bit of a plot hole, but you know what? It's not enough for me to dock any points on it. I'm going to fanboy all day to the bank. So that is my top 13 list. Thor the Dark World, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 3, Age of Ultron, Iron Man 2, Thor, Avengers, Civil War, Iron Man, Cap, First Avenger, Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant Man, and Captain America the Winter Soldier.
Interesting. So, we're about to have a villain debate again about Winter Soldier, which is the last thing I was expecting.
Well,
I
please go ahead. I'll defend it all the way.
I didn't think he was that great of a villain on because I really didn't feel like he was the villain to begin with. Just
Th-
it's just like, yeah,
That's what makes him
he's
great, though, is it's
the
not
reason why
over the top.
everything's happening and now he's dead. I never felt like he was the enemy in that entire movie. I feel like it's just Hydra, which is this pervasive cultish organization that's kind of everywhere that builds really honestly builds its entire force off of the idea that individuals don't really matter, and if one person dies then two more will just step up and take their place. I never felt like Alexander Pierce was the mastermind of Hydra. I felt like he was just the Hydra
Oh,
agent who
he
kind of
was a
threw
pawn.
everything together. I didn't feel like he actually
But there,
was the villain. I just felt like it's just Hydra moving behind the scenes, and that's the particular head they decided to put
but
in
by
charge
that
of this
logic,
thing.
in the first Avenger, Red Skull isn't really the leader of Hydra either. He's just the same as one of the soldiers on the ground. There's obviously people that are more important in the hierarchy to make decisions
To a
and
degree, but
to
that's when
lead.
that one is different because Red Skull is the creator of Hydra.
And Robert Redford is the maintainer of Hydra in the modern era. He's the one who's responsible for it continuing within S.H.I.E.L.D. as a mole organization.
Yeah, but he's no Red Skull. He's
That's what
he's
makes him great because the Red Skull is campy and Robert Redford feels like a spy movie villain. He doesn't feel like a superhero movie villain. And that's why I love him because it feels like you could take something from a submarine movie from the 80s and he would fit right in there. And that's the reason why they cast him is Robert Redford was in a lot of spy and thriller movies from that time period and they wanted to just relive the glory and it works so well. He is somebody who you agree with, but you also hate yourself for agreeing with. He's somebody you want to have go away, but at the same time, you recognize you kind of need a Robert Redford, Alexander Pierce person in charge. And he just makes sense as a counterpoint to Nick Fury within S.H.I.E.L.D. It's a great interplay of what actually goes on in S.H.I.E.L.D.
that counter to Nick Fury was your best argument.
Hmm.
Everything else, I
I
definitely
don't
don't
care. I'm
agree
a
with.
fanboy.
And
I'm a
how
fan.
dare you call Hugo Weaving campy?
He's in
You
everything
sick son
sci-fi.
of a bitch. You can't call Hugo Weaving campy. That's
Lord Elrond disapproves.
yes, he does. Shut up. Don't, don't you dare ever call Hugo Weaving campy ever again.
Okay. You should give me your top 13 list.
Cool. Well, actually, hilariously enough, a lot of these line up, and the only ones that are drastically different are the ones that we're arguing about. So, number 13, the worst Marvel movie in the entire cinematic universe is by far Iron Man 2.
Do 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 do
It's
do do do
stupid.
do. Yeah,
It's
it's
stupid. It's
funny.
absolutely stupid. And you're calling Ant-Man stupid, and like, okay, it's kind of slapsticky, and it has, but like, just the humor is so much better. And Iron Man 2 is just stupid. The only good thing about that movie is the exchange of "I want my bud." Just what the fuck are you talking about? That's the only thing that's good about this movie. Hammer is an absolute dick, and he's like
Exactly.
just like, why do you even exist? They're
Oh
just
my
like, no,
gosh.
you're stupid. They completely wasted Whiplash, and
Mm-hmm.
just like, oh, I have these little whippy things that'll electrocute you really hard. You're just like, no, no, that was just stupid. Also, I can't stand Don Cheadle.
I just have to say though,
I can't stand
I
Rhodey.
agree with you on every single thing you've said, and it's still fifth from the bottom on my list.
No, no, it's horrible.
Okay, I don't agree with that. Go on.
Number 12, The Incredible Hulk,
Hey,
a movie that I haven't seen and is pretty well
it's
regarded
still
as one
better
of
than.
the most horrible Marvel movies of all time. Is still better than Iron Man 2. Even though I haven't seen it, it's still better than Iron Man 2. It cannot be worse.
Oh my gosh. Number
Uh,
11.
Number 11 is Iron Man 3
Hey, matched up.
for all of the same reasons that we were talking about. I kind of liked how, from here on out, I really enjoyed all of these movies.
Yeah.
Like those 12 and 13 are ones I either haven't seen or absolutely hated. And from here on out, I enjoyed most of these movies. The most things I was disappointed by is one, Tony decides to blow up all of his suits, and then that's never really addressed again,
Mm-hmm.
how he has suits again. And then two, I'm really disappointed that they did the stupid surgery so that Gwyneth Paltrow can't have fire powers anymore. It's just like I was expecting them to give Gwyneth Paltrow fire powers, and then she would be like one of the team now, and then they're just like, "Lol, no, we just shoehorned her in there because I guess we had to have another female superhero
For half a movie. Yeah.
for half of the movie." And it was just like I was really on board with it. It was just like, okay, Gwyneth Paltrow is gonna join the team, and now we're gonna have some really awkward interactions where her and Tony are still trying to smooch, but they're trying to act professional around the other Avengers now, and this is gonna be great. This is gonna be cool. Oh, now she's gone.
Yep. Yep.
Bye. Although I must say that Ben Kingsley reveal had me laughing my ass off.
Yeah, that is pretty great. My
Yeah,
name is Trevor Slattery. I'm an actor. Ole, 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 ole.
so stupid. It's really disappointing actually because the Mandarin is huge in the comics,
Yeah, but they already
like
used that up with the
the
Ten Rings.
quintessential Iron Man villain. It's just
Honestly,
like
the comic
not.
versions would not have worked in the movies. So,
Well, you couldn't make him purple and all that weird shit, but I mean, they could have done an interesting modern take on him, and they just like, nah, bro, we're gonna make him a whiny little
tool.
angry scientist who decides to inject himself with fire steroids. She's like, okay, that's weird.
Yeah.
um, Number 10 is Thor: The Dark World.
Alrighty.
I appreciate it a lot more than you do.
Yes. Yes, you do.
Just it's just like I don't mind it. It's a fun movie. It's not the great one. It's not the best one. It's better than Iron Man 2.
Hey, shots fired.
Yep. So yeah, there's that. I will watch it again. I guarantee you. I've watched it twice. I will see it again. I will enjoy it again. But it's not my favorite.
They're gonna wipe it away a little.
Number 9 is Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Very similar to mine.
Yeah. So yeah, Age of Metron. I really feel like they wasted Andy Serkis.
What did he play in that movie?
He played the angry Wakandian mercenary.
Oh, that's right. I had completely forgotten about him.
Yep. I freaked out in the theater. It's like, oh my god, it's Andy Serkis. It's Andy Serkis. Oh, he's dead.
Yeah.
That was fast. It was just it was important for world building, progressing the story, creating Vision, all of those things. I still feel like Vision's weird in that
Mm-hmm.
movie. they don't really ever introduce him. It's just like, oh, we think he's evil because evil James Spader was trying to make him. Oh, he picked up Thor's hammer. He must be good. And now he can shoot lasers out of his eyeballs. I mean, obviously, I don't know why
just
we didn't
just
know.
just to be fair, the saying is, "He who is worthy may wield the hammer of Thor." We never talk about what that really means. Does it mean like worthy to hold the power? Does it mean like worthy to not go camping every weekend? What are we worthy of, like, in order to be doing that? Because it doesn't necessarily mean some moral quantity. It could just be some strength of will.
It's true. At the same time, it's somewhat regarded as canon that that rule doesn't apply to Vision because he's a robot.
Mm.
That rule only applies to actual like
Then what
beings.
about the guy with the pickup truck in Thor who couldn't pull it out with his truck?
Well, then there's yeah, we get into some issues about this.
Yeah,
Maybe it's just because he's I don't know.
yeah. It
We
gets
we
pretty
can we
philosophical.
can we can go into the rabbit hole here, but it's whatever.
Well,
Because
Doctor
he
put
like
me on
sets it
rabbit
on
hole.
coffee tables and things, and the coffee tables don't break. Is the coffee table worthy? He steps into the elevator with it. Is the elevator worthy? It's just it's it's plot holes. It's plot
Yes.
holes. I also definitely think that Black Widow is eventually going to pick up Thor's hammer and use it and become the female Thor
Really?
for a little bit. Yeah, because they specifically didn't let her pick it up,
Uh,
and
well, you
that's
saw
kind
how.
of a
Yeah, yeah.
that's a specific moment that happens in the comics. That like when people are worthy to pick up the hammer, then like they get the whole full Asgardian garb thing with all of the
Ooh,
lightning thing, and I definitely want to see that. It's pretty badass.
I want to see that too.
Yeah. So I think they're going to do that eventually. Maybe Infinity War. Maybe I don't know. I'm looking forward to it though. I think that will be
Maybe
a recurring theme.
Ragnarok. Who knows?
Maybe. Man, well, I don't know if Black Widow is going to be in Ragnarok.
Don't know either.
I think it's too interstellar,
But
interspace
we
for
don't know
her.
how Thor will get, or how Hulk will get there either.
Yeah, but aren't they going to be on Planet Hulk?
It's going to be something similar to Planet Hulk. I don't think it's actually a Planet Hulk storyline per se.
Oh, I thought they were specifically referencing at Planet Hulk.
We are
Okay, we'll
referencing it,
figure
of
it out.
course. We'll find out. Yeah.
Yeah. Number 8 is Thor.
Same.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Idris Elba's a badass.
Yes. Agreed.
He is Bay. Number 7 is Captain America: The First Avenger.
Ah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from this on out, I really enjoyed all of these movies. It's just ones that I like more than others. This is really personal opinion from
Totally
here on.
fair. Totally fair.
6 is the Avengers, which I did. Thinking about it, I don't know. I go back and forth between Avengers and Captain America: The First Avenger because I would watch Captain America: The First Avenger more,
Mm-hmm.
but The Avengers is just a good movie.
Totally with you on both accounts.
So it's tough. I go back and forth on that one. Number 5 is Iron Man.
Do we have to do the theme again?
No, we already really horribly burned that.
You're right.
So yeah, Disney's already gonna be halfway up our butts before we are even done uploading this video.
Oh my.
Bring it on, Disney. Bring on your tiny mouse.
Oh my gosh.
Number 4 is Ant Man.
That low, really?
It's this top 4 is really hard, man.
Yeah, I believe you.
You will definitely see it. I Ant Man is one of my favorite movies. I do not own it. I need to. That's probably my biggest the biggest hole in my collection after Civil War because I need to own that one too. But then all the other ones, like I don't feel like I need to own Dark World. I don't feel like I need to own Age of Ultron.
Hmm.
I'm never watching Iron Man 2 again.
I'll watch it for you.
Okay, good. Have fun. Give me my blood. I'll fond my blood. Ant Man was fantastic, and I love it, and I really hope that they hand out more shrinky suits to more people, but
Mm,
we'll see. We will see. I'm very excited for Ant-Man and the Wasp. So, yeah, hype, hype it up. Number three is Guardians of the Galaxy, which I
good.
which is the only thing I asked for my birthday the year that it came out, and immediately watched like 5 times that week
Yeah.
once it was gifted to me, and I still didn't burn out on it. Oh, just everything. It's so good. Okay. Number two is Captain America the Winter Soldier, which I think is my number one. I own this movie, like out of my entire movie collection. Like if I sit down and just like, hey, I feel like a movie. What movie should I watch? It is always a top runner. It's always a forerunner,
Hmm.
a top contender, and it's just like I want to watch this movie. Now I must say, the other day when I decided to do this First Contact one, just because I hadn't seen it in a really long time.
Star Wars First Con or Star Trek First Contact?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, just because I hadn't seen it in a really long
The
time.
line must be drawn here, this far, no farther.
And Voyage Home wins quite a bit,
Oh yeah.
but which I don't technically own.
I'm gonna find a
No, I
copy
think
of
it's
that
on
and give it to you
Netflix.
for graduation
Okay, I'm down. Please do.
or Christmas or something.
But yeah, Winter Soldier is always up there. I will never get tired of watching that movie. And number one is Captain America: Civil War.
Really?
Yep. I'm sorry. It makes me smile the entire movie long. It is immediately once it's in my collection is I'm gonna watch it a lot. Just because I don't feel like there's anything really bad about the movie. There are some plot holes why certain team members have their team affiliations is probably my biggest one, but they spend enough time on all of the characters. You never feel like one's being left out except kind of Vision in the airport battle. And I think the villain is great. I think he's he makes sense and he's relatable in his actions, even if they're drastic and kind of crazy. And Black Panther was fantastic and makes me more hyped for Black Panther than any other MCU movie. And Spider Man got me to love Spider Man again, a thing I thought I would never do. I
Yeah.
never thought I could go back to Spider Man after Tobey Maguire ruined it for me. I never thought I would love Spider Man, but I do. I do now. I love Spider Man again, and I'm really excited for his movie. So,
Good.
yep.
Good. On a completely unrelated note, do you have a Blu-ray player?
No.
What do you have for media players?
Uh, I have DVD thing. Although at the same time, like, I we're I'm always thinking about getting the Xbox One, which does have a Blu-ray player. I don't know. Everything I own is DVDs.
Got it.
So, I guess that's your answer.
Alrighty.
That's a weird note.
That is a weird note. What have we got next on our agenda?
Well, you picked this sexy science. So I'm just gonna let you take it away, really.
To be honest, I picked this 4 months ago, and I'm going to go read it again as I talk about it because I don't remember that much. But anyway, this was something that I believe showed up on Facebook a couple months ago. Um, Bucky from Winter Soldier and Civil War has a prosthetic metal arm that.
It's so cool.
Oh my gosh, you have a metal arm? I'm Healbot. And there's a really interesting article that showed up on CNN, which I know it's CNN, so take from that what you will. But they have been making computer chips that have been implanted in people's brains, and it can actually allow for some pretty cool prosthetic arm movement for people who have lost uh, their arms. And it takes a lot of adjusting to get used to, but the kind of Not the same, intensity of arm, vibranium, blah, 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 of Bucky's arm, but prosthetic arms that are as movable and as useful as real arms are on their way, and they look uh, pretty human for all it's worth. Though you don't really get the whole metal arm thing, but it's pretty fantastic. I'm not just going to read what it says in the article, but the article should be in the description of the video, so check it out.
Awesome. Basically, engineering and neurobiology is advancing to a point where human beings will maybe within our lifetimes be
It's
able to
your Western
replace
Washington Honda dealers one tank
Uh-oh.
trip sweepstakes.
Uh-oh.
what.
There was a fun moment of audio from our Western Washington Honda dealers.
I didn't hear it, so that's good.
No, but it'll
Um,
be in the recording.
I think perhaps in our lifetime, humans will be able to replace ligaments with machine ligaments and be able to function at a level very much near to what they had before, which is pretty incredible and makes me freak out about the singularity. But I think it'll be good for mankind
Agreed.
because humans are fragile and shit happens.
Yes. All right. What have we got else? Go read the article. Go read the article. It's good.
So real fast, you should read the article and as always, keep up on. Well, we're science people. We're somewhat educated people, and I try to keep up on human advancements as much as I can because I believe that's important for living in this world. But I think you should too. Plus, it's really cool. It's really cool to nerd out about things. So that's just that. Meme of the month. For August. We chose Civil War memes, obviously, because they're
So,
hilarious and because they fit in with this podcast, even though I haven't seen one for a really long
I'll put some of those in the description too from a stupid aggregator site. So I'm sick of memes. Like I'm gonna take a 10-second tirade and I'm just gonna say I'm sick of memes. Since this came out, there have been zero good memes. And like somebody posted a meme calendar and the whole year has been like Harambe and pawn shop memes and caveman SpongeBob, and it's like, you know what? After I saw the first one, I could tell exactly how stupid the rest of the memes were going to be. So I'm kind of burned out on memes, but these were pretty funny at the time.
Yeah, I'm definitely not on the cutting edge of quote unquote dank memes. Mostly because whenever you say dank memes around troops, she gets really mad because that's not the way what dank means.
Mm-hmm.
Not dank memes, but dank means.
Right.
Dank is something to describe a leaky, moist cave
Or in some
that
cases, marijuana.
that smells like guano and glowing lizards.
Oh my gosh. I was looking up the Captain America Civil War memes. Oh my gosh, this one's amazing.
They're
Uh,
still
I'm
hilarious.
going to spoil it. Cap says, I don't know if you're aware of the fact that a bald eagle is born every time I have sex. And Tony says, no wonder they're endangered.
Sick burn. Not anymore.
Hey, yo.
Hey, I have a really great idea. So I was going out. I was kind of like had this crush on this girl, and she was totes my bae. And then I
Ew.
accidentally got frozen in a glacier for like a really long time. And then now that I'm out again, then she's like a million years old, and it's just like really awkward. And so I'm just gonna pork her niece instead.
Man, that actually really bothered me in Civil War. Like,
That's
I
a
don't
little
want to get
weird.
into it because I get it. It's different people's personal opinions, but it creeped me out.
It it didn't freak me out. Those two characters had kind of had there was chemistry between those two characters for a couple movies now. I feel like they pushed it a little too fast,
Yes.
and I feel like it didn't really fit the situation that it was in. Just like, oh, we just escaped from this maximum security facility thingy, and my best friend is in the back seat of this tiny little bug, and you got us our super suits because we're gonna go fight a new threat,
Honey,
and
where's my super suit?
pretty much it's just like, okay, now it's French. Just like that. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
think women do that. Women don't do that.
As you having been
Just
married
like
to one and me
this.
having not, I'm going to say
This
you
is
probably are right.
this is a serious moment. This is just like, I'm giving you your suit because you're about to go off and fight somebody, and you're probably gonna die. I mean, I don't know. You are Captain America, so you might not die. But it's just like, this is a very serious moment, and now you're trying to stick your tongue down my throat. It's just like, save it for another time.
Like, not when the audience is watching.
It's just like, I'm fine with those two developing and getting together. I think it was too soon. I think that's really what it is.
Yeah.
Is Peggy just died and it's just like, well, my
That's off my
bae's gone. I
chest.
guess I'll just bang her niece. She's like, it's too soon, bro. Like,
You could,
grieving period.
yeah.
Grieving period.
Anyway.
Anyway,
That was the very convoluted meme of the month.
which is still great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
I still don't really understand Caveman SpongeBob.
There's nothing to understand. It's as dumb now as it was then.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad everyone else agrees. All right, well,
Let's get deep.
It's now time for the most ragey, argumentative portion of the evening.
And
And
since we're
that
already
is-
almost 2 hours in, this is going to have to be an abbreviated ragey moment of the evening.
Oh no! This entire podcast has been building to this moment of climax, sir.
This is like the most intellectual sexual tension.
It's what we do.
Oh gosh.
Mechanists, intellectual sexual tension,
Oh my god.
sometimes real sexual tension.
Ask the damn question.
So, what side of the Civil War fight would you be on, and why? And everybody knows our answers.
Yeah.
I am very hardcore Team Cap.
And I like Cap as a character so much, but I'm Team Iron Man.
See, I have a lot of issues with Tony Stark as a character.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, I do too. I don't really like Tony half as much as a character. There's a reason that all of the Captain America movies are much higher than the Iron Man movies, and a good part of that is the characters. But I think that when you've got a bunch of people who have weapon-like abilities, you have to treat them like weapons, and you have to keep track of them.
Yeah, but okay. I don't like how yes, you have people with weapon-like abilities. I don't agree with your immediate jump to just treat them like weapons. I think that's the last thing you should do is just treat them like weapons. I believe you should treat them like the human being they are so that they still have their humanity and their morality to not be total dicks and just kill whoever they want because they think they're weapons.
Well, here's the thing. There's nothing implied in that movie or in the comic Civil War Registration Act that implies that they would necessarily be forced to operate against their will. It's meant to be a check and balance system so that there's somebody who can guard the Guardians.
Yes, and I agree with your analysis that it's supposed to be a check and balance system. I do not agree that they would be, how did you phrase it, be ordered to do things that they don't want to do.
Well, I mean, in the movies it was a little ambiguous. They didn't explain it very much, but it felt a lot like it was. That one was a little more controlling than the one from the comics, as I understand it.
Yeah, a little bit. The ones in the comics are just, okay, we're going to take all of the superheroes and we're going to unite you so that you can just do superhero things. Like, we're going to give you a paycheck, and we're going to give you government resources to do what you do best, and we're going to give you like assignments of like places to go, things to do, people to save, villains to fight, etc., etc. Because the um inciting issue is a little bit different in the comics with like a school gang blown up, which is really tragic. Um, but it's basically saying, hey, and a big part of that is coming out with your secret identity because you
Hmm.
don't need it anymore because you're going to be a superhero full time now.
Right.
And I see huge issues with this.
Oh yeah. It's not perfect
And
by any means.
well, I think if it's not perfect by any means, then you should come up with a better system.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
I have one word. Well, I guess it's two words. I have two words for the movie version of this of these accords, just because that's what I'm more well versed in. Is PR representative.
hmm,
Really, that's all that they need, is because the public doesn't feel that the Avengers are taking enough responsibility for their actions. The Avengers are feeling that the public is so disconnected from them because they feel more and more like they're getting separated out from the world. And Scarlet Witch is going through a lot of that. There really just needs to be a public PR liaison, and I think it should be totally democratic. Somebody that the public elects to be the liaison to the Avengers to go back and forth and talk. It was just like, okay, the day after the whole inciting Scarlet Witch issue happens, just the PR liaison is just like, okay, so Scarlet Witch has been crying in her room for 3 days, and she feels really bad about this, and like obviously there are some issues that we need to work out, and yada yada yada, etc. etc. Just bring those two together with the PR liaison, and I think that's all the checks and balances you need. I do not think that, okay, we have all of these superheroes, let's just put them under the control of the government. I don't think that's a very good idea.
okay, so let's compromise. Because you agree that the check and balance system, to some extent, is good, and I agree that having it be treating them like weapons instead of like people is a problem. So let's design our own superhero registration thing that we have to do. Uh,
Well, I think a quick interjection point in the middle is they kind of address these issues the same way in the DC universe. And honestly, I think the biggest checks and balance system for the Justice League in the entire DC universe is Batman, who has thought of every single superhero and has contingency plans in place in case they go bad.
Batman,
Because
and I would say there's one other person who would actually be pretty powerful. As if you had Batman and this one other person, I'd say you could pretty well take out the Justice League. And I would say if you had
I
Batman
mean,
and Question,
Waller. Really? Question. Okay. Yeah.
because Question can see things even Batman can't see because he's crazy, and Batman is just focused.
It's true.
Batman is the world's greatest detective, but Question is totally the world's greatest psycho.
I like that. I like that analysis. And I think the biggest, I don't know, any checks and balance system I think has to come from the superheroes themselves to a degree,
Okay,
because
but what about things
we
like the Justice Lords?
yeah, what about the
Like,
Justice Lords?
it's possible for the entire superhero community of at least the most powerful individuals to completely turn against the people.
Yeah, it's true, but I mean, all of Amanda Waller's secret plot projects and bordering on government corruption is effective at stopping that.
No, but here's the thing. I'm not saying there needs to be weapons developed for each person. Here's what I think the bare minimum needs to be. There needs to at least be a file in the government that's very tightly protected that has the name and main address of that. And there's an understanding that we're not going to release your secret as long as you stay on the good side. and you're going to give that to us because we're not developing weapons against you. We don't want to study your biology or put you in a lab, but we want to go know where to find you if we have questions about what you did. There needs to be at
I
least some contact information on file.
I understand your feelings, but it sounds blackmaily and invasion of privacy to me. Honestly, it really does.
You have to do
I
that if
I
you're going to work
think
for
the
the
best
government in
way
any other role.
I think the best way to make sure that these superheroes don't turn bad and don't come up with huge world crisis level sort of corruption, evil sorts of things is let them remain human, let them remain as private citizeny as they can possibly get, while still maintaining their relationships with their family and loved ones and their fellow colleagues, and they will checks and balance themselves to a great extent, and anybody who steps out of that line is then the Avengers problem.
What if
as
okay.
as a team whole. I believe you need to treat them like people first, because if you treat them like
Yeah.
the good people that they're supposed to be, that and they want to be in the first place, and you cultivate that and you let them grow in that, then you're never going to be in a situation where they decide to rage out and destroy city level blocks.
Then what if
Actually,
we
now I'm thinking about this, a good example of this is Veronica and the Hulk, where they understood that the Hulk kind of rages out and can become a problem, and so they checks and balance themselves, and Iron Man built the huge Veronica suit so that he could potentially take care of the Hulk if he became a problem, and it was, I mean, eventually effective. Go sleep, go sleep, go sleep, go sleep, go sleep, go sleep.
I think a good example of what I mean working would be, I know this is not a mainstream comic universe, but I would say The Incredibles. Having somebody like a Rick Dicker who mops up the mistakes and takes care of the people and is the liaison to the government and knows where to find them but isn't going to be mucking around unless there's a huge problem. I think that's a good example of it working well.
Maybe, but at the same time, I think any situation where you have information on people that could be exploited by supervillains and enemies,
There's
that
also
possibility is always going to exist. And so if you don't have that contact information in the first place, you completely eliminate that possibility. It's not even potentially an issue.
There's also the problem. There's two other problems of getting the right intelligence, which you're not going to get if you don't have connections to people in the government who have a lot bigger intelligence sources, and the fact that private citizens going to other countries to try and fix stuff is a huge red tape international incident waiting to happen. So there definitely needs to be at least some way for there to be cooperation between the teams and the government, and I have a hard time finding that be a thing without them at least having something shared. And I know we're getting really serious on something completely meaningless, but
I think it has real world applications,
oh, absolutely. Yeah.
and to a degree. I also think whatever general secretary, whatever the fuck name is, his name is, when he's like, if we accidentally didn't know where one of our nukes were, we'd be having an issue. We'd be feel responsible for it, and the public would be mad at us. And I almost stood up in the theater right then and screamed, "No, they wouldn't, because you wouldn't tell them."
Well,
If
Iron
if
Man is a
you
lot more visible than one nuke.
I'm just saying, I think it's irresponsible of the government saying you guys are not responsible enough, and if we messed up, then the public would be mad at us, just like they're mad at you now. And their entire point they're trying to make is something that they would never tell the public about that even happened in the first place. Because I guarantee if the U.S. military lost a nuke somewhere, they would not tell us that even happened. That thing would be classified so fast and redacted so fast that a normal U.S. private citizen would never know about that. And so I think it's completely irresponsible of the government saying someone else isn't responsible enough for stepping up to their actions when I really think the Avengers did. The first thing Captain America did when the grenade went off, also, why didn't Scarlet Witch just hold the ball longer? It would have saved so much time and effort.
Mm-hmm.
Just like just hold the ball longer. Wait for the entire explosion. Okay, Scarlet Witch, cool.
Things Vision has definitely said.
Ball longer. Wow.
Wait for the explosion.
Wow. Wait for it to be over. Do you think he like?
No.
Okay, never mind. I wonder if it's like nanobots.
Oh
Or if
no.
it's just like nuts and bolts.
Bad brain image. Need bleach. Need bleach. Oh my goodness.
Anyway, what was I talking about?
Civil War.
Yeah, but what specifically? I just feel like it's completely irresponsible of the government to call someone out for they think they're not being responsible enough, even though the government isn't very responsible for anything they do. We're the government. No one can touch us. We don't even tell you about our mistakes that we make in the first place because
Again, there's definitely another check and balance in that the superheroes have taken down the government before, so to speak. Like S.H.I.E.L.D., they took down a huge government agency.
yeah, a huge corrupt government agency.
Right, so there's definitely some room for check and balance there.
And this is the entire point of what Captain America says when he thinks this whole UN panel is a bad idea because delegates change and opinions and how does he put it? Agendas change. Governments change, agendas change. That's pretty much exactly what he's saying is if you give the entire operation of the Avengers over to a random UN panel, well, I mean, it's not completely random, there is always a possibility that people in powerful positions use their power for corrupt reasons. It is an eventuality. It is not a matter of if they are going to abuse their power. It is a matter of when and how much. I believe that about every person. It doesn't matter. I guarantee you, if you made me president of the United States, I eventually will use my power for personal reasons. And it's not like I'm a horrible person, and it's not like the things I would necessarily be doing are necessarily horrible things, but it would still be an abuse of power. And sitting here thinking about it, I think it would be an abuse of power. But if I had that power, I wouldn't care because I have it, and so I'm going to use it.
I guess I just have a better view on people.
Which is hilarious because I have a great view on people. I think people are naturally good and will do the right thing first, but I believe people are corruptible. And I believe power is one of the biggest things that corrupts people. And I don't care who you are, eventually it's going to get to you. I just think the people that we put in office are the people that it's not going to happen for a while, and that hopefully we can get them out of office first. Because politicians and dirty diapers should be changed often and for the same reasons. It's because they're full of shit.
I figured that out.
Yep. Or pee, but toys. Fuck it. I mean, the list goes on.
Right. Alrighty. That, I think, doesn't settle it at all, but we disagree, and that's okay. There's no need for a civil war over it.
Wow. Shameless plug for ourselves.
And for this movie, which is amazing, and you should see if you haven't already.
You should definitely see it. It's the best Marvel movie of all time, and so much better than Iron Man 2, which is the worst Marvel movie of all time.
It's very good. And that's
now I want to go buy a copy of Iron Man 2 just so I can poop on it and film it and then send it to you.
I'll put it on YouTube if you do.
Please do.
I'm mostly joking, so you know. Before you spend your money.
Yeah, I'm not. If someone gave Iron Man 2 to me, I would not actually poop on it, and I would add it to my collection, but I would probably take a piece of paper and black out the case.
So no one else would see you have it.
So no one else would actually know that I have Iron Man 2. And then if eventually my children were like, what's next? What's the next movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Daddy? I'd be like, Iron Man 2, we only have to watch this once. Put it in. I'm leaving the room. Good luck.
I can get a copy of Iron Man 2 on DVD for $1.13. I'll get a new one for your collection and a used one for the toilet.
That's way too much money. Don't spend your hard-earned $1.15 on that.
Wow.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
I believe you. I believe you.
Oh. I still don't know why you think Baron Zemo is a horrible villain.
I don't think he's a horrible villain.
We didn't come back to that. Who do you list as better villains than Zemo? I want to refute these and trash them into the ground.
In no particular order. Jeff Bridges, Obadiah Stane.
It has to be in order.
Okay, number 1, Robert Redford, Alexander Pierce.
Oh, sucks. Sucks. He's barely in the movie.
Number 1, Aldrich Killian. Suck it.
Oh God.
No. Robert Redford.
Even you can't keep a straight face about that one.
No, I can't. I really can't. Robert Redford, great performance, well acted, meaningful. You want him to win, you want him to lose.
It's well acted. I don't want him to win. I think he's a stupid, corrupt, horrible person who wants to kill a lot of other people.
Who has a point?
That's bad. He doesn't have a point though. He is playing judge, jury, and executioner and condemning a whole bunch of people to death just because his psychoanalysis says that they might be a threat. And what he means by they might be a threat is they might want to actually have some free will and act of their own accord and not just bend the knee to a totalitarian government. That's not a good enough reason. That's not a good reason at all. That's horrible. That's condemning people to death just because they might be a challenge to you or might not do what you say. That's a horrible reason.
And clearly we have here some difference of opinion.
What do you think his reason is?
Oh, that's not why I was basing his character as number 1. I was basing it at number 1 because I think he's a compelling character.
I believe him as a character. I don't think he's campy or like unbelievable. Cough cough. Obadiah Stane. Even though I love Jeff Bridges.
Further on the list, I would put next up probably Loki.
All right.
Kind of.
I'm not gonna fight you on that one.
Number 3, I would put Jeff Bridges.
I think he's iconic.
I hate that word.
I know.
Oh no! I wouldn't put Obadiah Stane there. I would put villain. Yellow Jacket from Ant-Man. He's better than Stane.
He's a lot better than Stane. He's a lot better than a lot of them. But I still wouldn't put him above Zemo. He's just another one of the rehashes of I'm really smart and I have this power and I'm going to exploit my superhero skills, which is I can also go really small and have little weapons and beat you physically, man on man. And what makes Zemo a great villain is he is a completely different sort of villain. He is all mental. He is all taking down the Avengers almost from the inside, even though from the outside. He did a great job.
Oh my goodness.
He did a great job.
Okay.
Iron Man almost killed Captain America, and he would have if Captain America didn't win. Captain America would not have killed Iron Man.
He was pretty pissed off.
He was protecting his friend. Captain America would never kill Iron Man, and I think that is
save Bucky. He absolutely would.
No.
If he had to choose one of the two, if it was a Superman General Zod situation where Zod's, laser vision's going to kill the family if you don't break his neck, if he had to either kill Iron Man or Iron Man would kill Bucky, he would absolutely kill Iron Man.
I don't think he'd ever let it come to that.
He wouldn't have a choice.
And he didn't. because Iron Man did have the opportunity to kill both of them, and instead Captain America made sure that everybody lived, even though they're all really beat up at the end. He, Captain America had a very definitive choice when he raised his shield. He could have easily, with his vibranium shield, cut Tony's head in half.
But he didn't have to. If he had to make a harder choice, which he didn't have to, his choice was relatively easy, he would have been in a much worse position.
He chose to incapacitate Iron Man instead of taking a more lethal action.
But
And
he
you
didn't-
have to make that
He
choice.
had no advantage of taking a more lethal action. If he had been in a position where a lethal action would have been his only option to save somebody he thought was innocent, he absolutely would have.
I don't agree. I don't agree at all. And to prove it, I would say go back and look at all the other Captain America movies. It's just he feels for Tony, and he is Tony's friend. No matter what, no, he is. He is, because he has the opportunity to make Tony's life a lot worse than he could have. And yes, he's upset, and yes, he's having some issues, but he absolutely could have taken more drastic actions a lot sooner, and he chose not to.
Fair enough.
And that takes a choice. That's not just, oh, I
He
would kill you if I could, but I missed and accidentally broke your arc reactor instead. No, he chose to take out the arc reactor because he didn't want to kill Tony, and that was never the intention, is to kill Tony.
He absolutely made good decisions. There's no question about that.
And if the shoe was on the other foot, I do not know if Tony would have made the same decision.
He was emotionally compromised.
Especially as emotionally and mentally compromised as he was.
I agree with you.
Because he has daddy issues.
Well then, I think that pretty well sums things up.
Do you hate me?
No.
Cool. I don't hate you either. Not yet, at least.
Civil War.
Civil War.
Alrighty.
Oh.
That was intense, man.
That was good.
That
we
was
should be
either
like
our
guest
best
stars
one-
at movie fights or
That
whatever.
was either our best one or we just completely were just messing about with ourselves.
I was pretty serious for most of this. Sorry. Yeah, I'm resisting the temptation to go rehash previous things.
We'll have to do another conversation another time.
Maybe we should have an all villains. We should just talk about villains one day.
Maybe. I want to get through some Star Trek and some DC Comics animated and heck, even maybe some Star Wars or Lord of the Rings. Could do
How
some
well versed in Star Wars are you?
I'm a casual fan. I can tell you from somebody who has seen the movies at least once.
You filthy casual.
Yes. And I haven't even seen all the prequels once because screw the prequels.
That's okay.
I only watched Empire Strikes Back for the first time a year ago.
I watched Empire Strikes Back for I don't know how manyth time. Like probably well into double digits by now, like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, good.
And I watched Return of the Jedi yesterday.
A New Hope is still the best. But
I really like Jedi, honestly, seeing it again.
Really? So we're both non-conventional. Most people are huge Empire.
I mean, don't
fanboys.
get me wrong, I really like Empire, but I don't know. We'll have to do a Star Wars one.
We'll have to bring in our Gaius for that one since he knows his stuff.
Oh my. Oh, podcast with our guys as special guest sounds like a gigantic cluster just waiting to happen.
Let's do it! Oh my god.
Do it.
This is turning into Bob and Sassy movie fights, and I'm okay with that.
I'm really okay with it. It's so much better.
Yes.
Well, that's not true. I do like movie fights, but they're so long.
Dude,
He says while wrapping up his
2.5
2-hour video.
hours. 2.5 coming up on.
Well, I mean, we didn't start recording then. We started talking then, and we talked for a really long time before we started recording.
Yeah, so it's about 2 hours.
It's about 2 hours.
Anyway,
So,
very special double
you
length
should
edition.
go watch the previous Best of Both Worlds, because they're really great, and we talk about sexy, sciencey things.
Mm.
Now I'm forgetting the sexy science topics that we previously covered. They're all good though. I mean, I'm pretty proud of this series, honestly.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
So yeah, go check those out. Go check out our Minecraft videos. Go over to our Gaius's YouTube channel because we've mentioned him at least once in this video. Honestly, I think if any of us as YouTubers deserves to be discovered, I think it's our Gaius. Like
He has made
personally,
very good stuff.
like I wouldn't care if I ever like didn't get discovered. Like I do this for fun and I don't really do anything. I just sit here on Skype and be my normal, out of control, weird ass self, and then you do all of the work. So it's great.
I love it.
I
It's
need
okay
to
because I've gotten
figure
all
out
of the money so
what-
far too.
You have gotten all the what?
All the money so far too.
Oh yeah, that's true. How much is that?
0.
0 cents. But
Uh,
that's standard. I have all of the money too.
yeah, but that's standard.
So yeah,
0 divided by 2.
how
Uh,
soon do you think this video is going to be up at the same time as our tabletop sim Uno video?
Probably around the same time because I have about 5 minutes left to edit, and I'll do that tonight after we finish talking because we're probably going to record something else after, and I'm going to try and do this weekend.
Cool. So look for that around now.
And there's a lot of cool stuff in the pipeline. The rest of Moonrise Kingdom is well on its way to being close to done. We have just about one more thing to actually record, and the rest is almost edited. I just
Sick.
got lazy. A lot more Mechanist stuff coming up that is I'm really behind. If you want to see a summary, go watch our Gaius because he did basically a summary of about 6 months worth of videos in 2 or 3 episodes, and they're fun highlights. I'm going to be showing some of the more technical stuff of how we actually did stuff, some of the more individual joke humor, time-lapsey stuff. So that's going to be a while down the road. But you can see kind of some catch-up with our Gaius. A few more server games on the way. Those aren't going to be forever, but those are fun. There's some fun Gmod prop hunt stuff. Eventually, I'm going to get Sassy to play it. I really want to play it with him.
We did play it,
Yeah, and
but
I'm gonna.
not in any sort of official capacity. We need to do
I
something
will,
better.
and I will post the videos of us playing it. Basically, what happened was a tremendous cluster.
Oh, it was beautiful.
And it's one of the cringiest things I've ever been a part of, and it's beautiful. So please enjoy that. I'm not sure if that's going to be one long form 3-hour video or episodes, probably like 3 1-hour episodes that are just free form. But it's absolutely terrible, and it's absolutely deserving of attention.
I couldn't say it better myself.
All I need to do is take out all the spots where I pause and go back to my desktop so you can't see my name and the time and what software I have and my crappy ass Mac, which is actually a really good computer.
His name's
You're an... That was the
like,
only thing I have to edit out of this entire podcast.
like we haven't said your name several times before.
We haven't.
He lives in Maine.
He lives. I live in Seattle.
I was lying for you.
I know. I don't care if people know I live in Seattle. I'm going to PAX this year, and I'm going to show a video from PAX. So,
Oh, okay.
so
never mind.
suck it, non-Seattle people. I don't have to pay for a hotel. In your face.
Okay, go watch our videos because we're shameless
Incidentally,
plugs.
I might be able to do. I'm hoping in the video there's one day at PAX where I'm getting Transforcer and Healbot to go in person with me to PAX.
Oh
And
god,
I
that's such a cluster.
might be able to get them to sit down and talk about it afterwards or something.
Beautiful.
Absolute cluster. Maybe just walking through the expo hall or something, and we'll just not show our faces.
I'm really excited for this.
We'll see. I also did some other vloggy stuff on vacation, and I might make something out of it, but I wanted to make it more than just pictures with music, so we'll see. We'll see.
Cool.
In any case, tons of crap coming down the pipeline. We should call it a night for this, and then we have something else that we were going to try if it's not too late. We'll see.
Let me check. Cool. So, have a fantastic day
Yes.
or night or whatever this is currently doing. Well, whatever time of day it is for you. And good evening.
Good evening.
I love you.